Holy shit! So I got my engine back from the machine shop. Pakes did a really good job. This thing was pretty crusty. Took some, there's no block. They took these balls out of here and they're threaded in there. Probably so they can get cleaner in there. And I got my bearings here, my crank here. And we're gonna go ahead and assemble this. And turn this one-handed without flipping it on the ground. So, it's pretty clean. We got Acl Race Bearings here. I'm gonna install the crank and be right back. I got these bearings in. These things are very interesting looking. Looks like these things are already pre-used and pre-baked. Normally you'd get a bearing, they'd be colored like this. This is the cheapest bearing I could get for my SRT4 engine. It had way too tight a clearance. Junk. I got a box set up here so I can keep all my rod caps or my crank caps, whatever you want to call them. Alright, and then I just line up this little square right here. Push it in, and I just make sure both sides are level. And then once you put that rod cap on, whatever, it's not a rod cap. whenever you put that main cap on, it'll straighten it out anyways and push it flush. So let me get some lube on here, some bar and chain lube. Almost felt like something. There's some weird looking bearings. So let me get some bar and chain oil on here for some assembly lube. I like to use bar and chain oil because it doesn't drain off like motor oil, or I don't have any assembly lube, so that's what I'm gonna use. I mean, I use diesel oil in all my engines, and it was basically a backyard engine build anyways, so it'll be fine. Alright, now that I got my crank in, I got these main caps just loosely on there. What I like to do, just kind of tap them down even. I'm going to do that with all of them. I'm not even on one. But I'm going to do that for all of them. Tap them down even. I got my thrust washers in there. Now that I got the main caps on, they're all numbered, they're in the right position. Bolts are hand tightened. I just went around and, you know, hand tightened them with a wrench until they're all snugged up to get any play out of anything, so I could feel it before I go and put a torque wrench on it. I just want to make sure everything's all not binding and feeling good. And alright, I was gonna gap these rings, but this was the stock GTE piston ring. These piston rings, without even opening up an engine in the stock GTE, will make 1,000 horsepower. And people would leave this gap. This is the aftermarket piston ring. I'm going to leave that gap because that's plenty more than that. And then that's fine for running boost. I'm not even going to try to open that up. So people make 1,000 horsepower with this gap right here. So I'm going to run that right there. These are the GTE piston rods and pistons, and these are the GE from like a Lexus. I'm using these ones because these can hold 1,000 horsepower. These can hold about 450, they say. So that's how I'm able to get away with holding 1,000 horsepower. Alright, I got all my piston rings on, and I realized that these aftermarket ones that came with the kit wasn't fitting in the bore, so I had to use the original piston ring spacer there. So this one's the stock one, or this one's the stock one here, and then this is the aftermarket one. It won't allow it to fit in the bore, so I can't use that. I went ahead and painted the pistons, and I wanted to see if it'll run or cause any issues with it. We have a camera here that we could put in afterwards, you know. We'll just put it in the engine and we could check the pistons and stuff and see if it burnt off or whatnot, because that's definitely where you put the hole to check for pistons. And then you gotta take these off and you can check every one. These are piston checkers. Alright, I got my engine painted. Let me see, I paint on my fingers. Made sure I kept the freeze plugs clean. Painted a little bit there. Put my pistons in, my painted pistons. I wonder what you guys are thinking about this. I mean, I don't know, I'm not concerned. I paid a lot. This is like the most expensive build we're doing, so I'm not concerned. I wouldn't do this and do that diesel style stuff to my vehicles. I mean, I'm smart enough to know that this ain't gonna ruin it, but maybe you guys are smarter than me. Maybe you guys don't know this is all a waste of money here. You're probably wondering why I'm going with stock pistons and not going with something like this Wisco and Eagle rods. I am doing ARP head studs to this, but I like running OEM pistons, OEM stock cranks and stuff like that, and all the stock clearances, just because, you know, stock engines are made to go 200,000 miles. I mean, when you start doing all that stuff, you gotta check clearances, and I could just throw these engines together myself with just stock stuff. So this is not the turbo we're gonna be using. This I had on my Eclipse and it was just too big to spool. It's a T4. This manifold, we gotta get a different manifold, but for the next video, I'm gonna be painting the valves on the head. I got this CD09 for this swap. This is probably going into an RX-8. We already have an RX-8 that runs and drives, but we have another RX-8 in storage that we are planning on doing this, but I'm kind of bored with the same car, so we might get something different. If you guys got an idea for a 2JZ swap car or something, let us know. Maybe like a Hyundai Genesis, a BRZ, I mean, anything really. WRXs are kind of cheap, but just like a Shell or something. I think that would be just kind of crazy. RX-8's already paid for and we have that, so I mean, a lot of people say this ain't gonna be 1,000 horsepower engine. Yes, these engines do make and hold 1,000 horsepower wheel. Mine, I'd be lucky. I'll be happy with 700 to the wheel, 700 to the wheel. This could hold 1,000 in the future. I probably could make it have that if I ever wanted to, but I'm gonna end a clip in the end of this video to show you guys that these things do have a record over 1,000 horsepower, and yeah, that's why they're pretty crazy swapped engines and known to be swapped into stuff, because they can hold some power. So if you guys are interested, subscribe, and I'm gonna paint the valves next video, and then we'll install the head. And I should probably have this done in 2 parts. I'm just gonna put this would be the oil pump over here, guys, and then it looks like I think a water pump here. I actually only just took apart 2 of these engines, so I might have to Google some stuff. Alright, that one was a bit much. Alright, for people that are interested in our subscriber giveaways and stuff, we're interested in doing another one, like around $300 this time. If you guys have an idea what you guys want for around $300, let us know. I was thinking of Micro Squirt. If we could find a sponsor, I'd be willing to let people's business get advertised every video until we do the giveaway. It's not like we could do a giveaway every month or something like that, so it'd be some pretty good amount of time for advertisement and stuff like that. So I'm done actually.